All right, we'll get started here in a minute. Looks like sound's going good. Looks like you guys should be able to see the closed captioning, so that's all good. And we're just going to talk pretty simple about Linux systems administration stuff. We've talked about a lot of this stuff, but we'll just go through it. It gives me a easy thing to jump off from, and we can just kind of go wherever the systems administration world wants us to go. I am working on more labs, so we'll have more labs with the ProLug coming out soon. We're up to 57 right now, but I've got a few more that I'm kind of planning on. Yeah, 10 p.m. in the USA. It's 8:15 for me, so it's not too late in Phoenix land. And I'll pop up on here, and we'll go do some Linux system administration. So this is presented to the ProLug originally last month, and then I'm just going to kind of recycle things like I normally do. I just was looking at some of the other presentations, and I was like, I didn't really want to do any of them. So I figured I'd hop on here and do this one for a little bit, and I don't know, at least get a little bit of streaming in, say hi to everybody. The wife is at a something McLaughlin concert. I don't know, some country singer, something. Sarah McLaughlin, maybe? Does that sound right? I don't know. She went with her sister, so I had no interest in doing any of that stuff. Plus, I had a bunch of college work and side project work to do, so I was busy. I was going to be sitting here anyways. So, one of the labs I'm going to be working on, I got asked to do a hardening lab to show you guys how to use OpenSCAP. So I'll probably be doing that because I've been using that professionally on some government projects. So I think you guys will like that. I think you guys will like the way that one kind of turned out and is turning out because it's pretty good stuff. HPC stream, but I'm still lost about the space. Yeah, Turtlebeard, there's a lot of things going on with HPC right now. So over on the Twitch side, Turtlebeard said he's watching the HPC or about to watch the HPC stream. So let me give you a couple of good resources that are kind of showing the state that the industry's in right now. So there's two right here. One is Ubuntu. They started an effort over on the Ubuntu side just recently for HPC. So I will link that to you guys on the Twitch side and the YouTube side so you have it. And then just not even 2 weeks ago, there was another one that popped up. So if you want to go read about like what's going on in the high performance compute type space, they're doing it. John, I don't do anything with iPhones, unfortunately. I don't play in the iPhone or Apple space, not even a little. The most I've done in the last, I would say in the last 8 years was when I was at AAA. The Apple desktop guys would message me sometimes to help them with Unix stuff. Yeah, so OpenSCAP is a framework for like baselining systems, yeah, and making sure that they're at a security baseline, yeah. That's what OpenSCAP does. Yep. But here, this is with the Ubuntu one, and then the other one is just came around from the Linux Foundation, and they literally just announced this on the 13th of May, so less than a month ago. They just said, hey, we're going to announce a nonprofit organization enabling the mass innovation through open source called the High Performance Software Foundation. So this is the actual link to this if you guys need it. And I don't know. I just think that this is the stream did just start, Street Track. Yeah. So the High Performance Software Foundation is all about standardizing high performance compute because, man, I've been doing high performance compute for like 20 years, and every cluster I've ever worked on is some like amalgamation of like Frankensteining to put this thing together. I mean, there's components that come from a vendor like Lenovo or HPE is a big one, Cray, which got bought by HP. They're all big ones in that space. But it's like, okay, they'll get you the hardware, and they'll get you the working links to the back-end system and maybe recommend that you run GPFS on it, or maybe you pay for it at Spectrum Scale, whatever they call it from IBM, right? And they'll get you set up with all that, but then like the version of the operating system you run and the flavors of your InfiniBand that you're running and all that stuff is on you to keep up. So it's I don't want to call it a nightmare in keeping everything standardized and keeping everything the same, but there's definitely some discipline and engineering to do it. And that's one of the things I actually specialize in, is getting everything the same. And it's funny because I don't even like doing it. It's funny that sometimes as engineers, you find things that you're good at or you excel, or I don't know, maybe just nobody else likes doing it. I don't even like doing it, but I happen to be pretty good at putting together lists of things and then making them all the same with tools like Ansible and scripts and that kind of stuff. John said, well, apart from that, would it be possible to hack into a system over cellular network if they know your IP address or at least monitor it? John, typically that's not going to happen. I mean, maybe if somebody has access like to an internal network and be persistent or something, but no, if somebody knows your external IP, that's not nearly as dangerous, I think, as most people think it is. Or maybe it's as dangerous as most people think it is, but probably not nearly as often. How's that? Maybe that's a better way to put it. It is dangerous for people to know that stuff, but it's not to the common person, right? All right, so anyways, my point showing you guys all this is they've got these tools that they're trying to standardize and hopefully make this stuff deploy better and be more useful. They've got a bunch of projects. This is probably going to grow to be pretty big. I've seen a lot of push for two things in the high-performance compute space in the last 5 years. One is to bring containerization down into it, and then the other one is to push burst up into the cloud. It's dangerous as a streamer for people to know your public IP. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some of that, but I don't think. Yeah. So here's your different stuff there. That's what you guys were asking about. So a couple of resources for you guys for high performance compute. And the talk today really isn't even about high performance compute. We're just going to go over some Linux system administration and give myself a time to kind of hang out and work on stuff. Super Hacker, what do I think about WebAssembly? I don't think anything about WebAssembly. I don't do anything with it. So that's not what I do, unfortunately. So I couldn't give you any kind of good response on it. I've always had this question: is it hard to alter the standards of networking in an internet so that the network is practically unhackable? Kiss Killer, no, I don't think it's... So here's the thing. You can change whatever you want in the network within the rules that are there, but anything where you would do that, where, like, let's say you change your default SSH port to like 17,000 or something, all that stuff is what we call security through obscurity. Because here's the thing. If you're still running an open SSH server on there, you're still providing back a header when somebody tries to talk to it. So a scan of your network would find it anyways. So then you say, well, couldn't I just watch for scans on the network? You watch for scans on the network on your normal ports. So it's security through obscurity. It just makes things harder for you as an administrator. So most of us just, I mean, it's like discarded almost out of hand anything that we would call security through obscurity, which is what that describes. Making something unhackable would just the whole point of hacking something is to figure out through means of putting in inputs to get different outputs until you figured it out. And if it was working, somebody would get connected to it anyways. So, right? Like, I mean, if it's serving web pages and that kind of stuff, it's going to keep serving pages. I've never had to change an SSH port. I would die on that hill if somebody asked me to do that. Q said he hates security teams that make you change the SSH port. I would die on that hill. As an administrator and as an engineer, I would not do it. I'd be like, all right, well, I'll go somewhere else then. I'm not doing that. That's stupid. Because any port they put it on, I would immediately scan and show that I could read that it's an open SSH server. And I'd be like, that was futility right there. So, and that, by the way, that's not even contested in the security realm. Like, security through obscurity is a bad practice across the board, right? So, okay. All right, so let's do some Linux system administration. So during the lab portion of this course, so there's some labs and stuff that you guys can find down in the Discord. I'm not going to go into them too much. And you know, everything in the Discord is free. You guys can hang out down there, talk, shop, do whatever you want. But during the lab portion of this course, the learner would be able to perform many of the system administration tasks for maintaining a group of servers, right? We power them on, we power them off. When we deploy servers, we have to be able to get to like a console access, right? We need to be able to get there's different types of console access. We use BMC, IPMI, but typically I just call it kicking over a server and bringing it back up with either a net boot or an ISO image on it, that kind of thing, something like that. Quartz One, how's it going? I asked in Discord, but was wondering, what's your take on LPI, or is there a Linux cert more worth going for? Quartz, it depends what you want. I think the one that is hands-on, that's pretty generic, that is well respected enough, is the LFCS, right, from the Linux Foundation. They're certified cyber. Yeah, that's the one Sending Grounds did. Yep, LFCS. Yeah, and some of these guys, they went and got Red Hat. I got a bunch of guys on the server that got Red Hat certs and that kind of stuff. But Red Hat's, you got to remember, it's also very specific to Red Hat. And yeah, people, it depends. Like up until like 5 years ago, I would have told you, if you want to get a good paying enterprise job in the U.S., working for the government contracts or working for anybody, working with the government or like big data type stuff, I would tell you to get Red Hat, right? I would have told you like all Red Hat. But the going to, as things move away from being Red Hat specific, and Ubuntu is allowed in government projects, and SLES was a big one back then, but I don't think they had a cert that was specific to them. As things move away from being Red Hat heavy in all of the different environments, I would tell people to go for one of the generic ones as well if you wanted to. So, yeah, so, do whatever you want. I, never actually went and got a specific Linux certification. I've just been using Linux forever, right? So I guess my capabilities in it are strictly speaking just performance based, I guess. Gonna be fun migration. Yeah, Q, I'm putting together a lab on Stigs because I've been Stig stomping all over the place on some government stuff, and I got pretty good at doing some of the stuff and deploying some of the Ansible, and I was going to kind of show what an iterative process it is for me to go from 170 vulnerabilities down to only 7 in one run of my application. And I know what all the broken ones are, and I can either get I could either redo my Ansible and then blow away the image and rebuild it in practice and get it all the way clean, or I can ask exceptions for those 7 things because I know that they're dumb and they don't matter. Or I can, it's or it's all these things we can do when we stomp Stigs. Do you run the Ansible Stig content on a schedule? How do you manage drift? So Q, I do. Once I have a baseline, I manage drift a different way. But yeah, you can use Ansible to manage drift if you want. There's 2 ways that I manage drift. So there's two ways that I manage drift in high performance compute, and it depends on what people give me. Right? It's almost like, tell me the environment and I'll tell you the thing, but I'm going to tell you both of them right now. I'm just saying, like, if I were on a contract and somebody told me, hey, we use stateful clients, I would say, okay, if it's stateful clients, then I have to run something against them on some kind of recurring cycle, like you just mentioned. That's how I could look for drift in my system. If it's a stateless system, that's much easier. All I got to do is make sure that when the server goes down, it comes back up with my base image, and that's way easier. Good experience, but something you cannot certify that way. Super Hacker, that's definitely true. I mean, I'm a big fan of experience. And I'm a big fan of certs. I'm a big fan of actual traditional education. I know a lot of people might be like, this guy gets on here and tries to show this stuff and tells you. I don't think you need a cert. I don't think you need an education to get in this field, but they do both help, right? That being said, if somebody says, well, what's your background in? I've been an educator for 15 years, right? I've been a college professor for 15 years. I'm working on my doctorate right now. I definitely believe in education, but I don't think it's needed. I also have like more certs than you can shake a stick at. Like, who cares? The main thing to me, and I tell people all the time, I don't care who's the smartest guy in the room. I've worked with tremendously intelligent engineers. I'll be over here building stuff. And that's what I've been good at in my career, is being the guy who's over there building stuff. So, administrative tasks. So we turn servers off and on. So again, we can power servers that are stateless and get them back to a wiped clean image. We can power servers when we're doing maintenance on them. We can power them when we're doing redeploys of servers. There's all kinds of reasons to do that. Maintaining an inventory, adding, changing, and removing inventory. This is probably... I think I've told you guys this in the administration, like in the automation world. Having a good inventory is the most critical thing to being a good systems engineer and systems administrator. If I don't know all the things, if I can't pick them all up and touch them with my hands and see where all the servers are, or reach out to them through some process, either Ansible or a shell script or something, everything else is lost. I can't tell you if we're compliant. You come to me and say, "Hey, Scott, are we PCI compliant in that environment?" And I go, "I don't even know what's in the environment." That's a problem. So I ran the red team at AAA a while back. It's CSAA, but most of you guys know it as AAA. I ran their red team, and one of the things that I asked when I first came on the team, I said, "Okay, I need an inventory of all of our web properties. I need like everything that we have. Just give it to me." And nobody gave it to me. Nobody had that list. This was years ago, and I'm sure I'm hoping it's fixed by now. But it's like, the way I describe it is like this: 13 cert. Who had 13 certs? So it's not guarantee. Yeah. Sending grounds. The reason I tell you guys certs is the same thing you just said. It's a body of knowledge, right? In project management, we call it PMBOK, the project management body of knowledge, right? They're very, very clever, but PMBOK like that. And it's a structure. It's like a set of things that you will know how to do. You might not know them all great. You might not be perfect at them, but you at least studied the things, right? That's why, that's the main reason I would tell you to go to college too. Like people go to college and then they immediately get mad that they have to like write and they have to do math. They're like, I don't want to write and I don't want to do math. And I'm like, well, you want to be college educated. You want people to think that of you, but you don't want to be able to type out a real email that doesn't have a bunch of spelling errors in it and shit. Like, yeah. All right, so we turn things on. Here, let me give you my example of inventories. Why I think inventories are so critical. Because let's say you took RoboCop, right? RoboCop's a badass. He could, shoot a gun out of a guy's hand to make it flip around in the air. If you guys remember RoboCop 2. If you don't remember them, go back and watch them. They were on Amazon a while back, and I was laughing my ass off on them. Hey, there's Sony Chiba. Oh, the guys that are in town, some of the jiu-jitsu guys from the camp up north. I was thinking about it as I told you. I was like, I don't know if Corey knows them very much. But there's some guys coming in town if you want to. They're competing. There's a money tournament, Sony Chiba, for jiu-jitsu. There's a money tournament down in Chandler this weekend. It's something. No, I met them through Globetrotters, but also through the other camp that like me and Matt Rogers go to. But you should come over. We'll hang out. The wife's out of town. Poop Riot. I do watch the UFC when I get around to it. I haven't watched them lately. I see all the highlights though, because all my buddies are real into them and stuff. So the question over here, guys, I'm missing stuff on the YouTube side. Sorry, but on the Twitch side, I was asked if I watch UFC, and yeah, I watch some of it. I don't watch it as much as I did when I was in my 20s and 30s, but I still keep up on it a little bit. So. Yeah, but Sony Chiba, if you're around, let me know. I'm going to be hanging out all weekend. The wife's going out of town, and I'm just hanging with the guys here, so it'll be fun. Good times. Install it. So back to this. Back to RoboCop. Back to my RoboCop thing. RoboCop's a badass. He'll shoot the gun out of your hand. He'll shoot your dick off. Right? It's not going to say it. He'll shoot whatever. But if he doesn't know a building, how's he going to protect the building? So this is why I say inventories are so important, right? Like you go drop in RoboCop, but he doesn't know the town. He's from Detroit. He's new to Los Angeles or something. He doesn't know the streets to get around. He can't protect things. It's the same way. Like I'm telling you guys, I don't care how good of a systems administrator you are, and I don't care how smart you are and how good of an engineer you are. If you don't have a good inventory, you cannot tell people your stuff's patched. You can't tell people your stuff's secure. Hell, you don't even know if all your stuff's on. Right? Like, and I hate to belabor that point, but it's true. Oh, the Conor McGregor fight got called off. I saw that Mike Tyson's not fighting either. But then again, he's like 60 something, so I don't know that he should be fighting. But isn't he like 60? Yeah. He used to buy. So here's my funny Mike Tyson story. If you guys don't know, he lives in the Phoenix area, and one of my buddies used to run Pratt's Pets, which is the oldest pet store. It's the oldest business in Glendale that was founded in Glendale. Glendale's a part of Phoenix. And my buddy used to run Pratt's Pets down there. And Mike Tyson used to come and buy pigeons from him. So one of my friends, would always be telling me, like, oh, yeah, Mike Tyson came in today. And he had pictures of him selling pigeons to Mike Tyson back in the day. So not even that long ago. This was like 2010, 2012-ish. So not that long ago. But anyways, we need to know how to install and update software. To that end, configuring repositories and then configuring to the software that then goes and works within the cluster, right? So yeah, the tiger. Installing and updating software, it seems as easy as just running an apt-get update or an apt update, right? But he is really into pigeons. Yeah, he was huge into that. He was very gentle with them. But like we can't just go grab stuff from the internet. We don't have any control of a repository that's out there. Like if I go to one of my Linux boxes right now, right? If I pull up one of these Linux boxes here and I just do a yum update. I haven't updated this in a while, but let's see. It'll come up. There's Jared. Oh yeah, it was Jared actually. Jared was the guy who he's over on the YouTube side. Yeah, Jared. He was the guy who used to sell pigeons. That's true. He's not making that up. So if you guys are over there, he is he's 100. Jared is absolutely not lying. He is the pigeon guy over on the YouTube side. He also comes and talks to our Discord pretty often about Google Analytics and stuff. Actually, I need to make sure he's coming to our August event. We're going to have an event where people come and talk throughout the day. It's going to be a virtual Prolog conference. I'm going to start kind of advertising it here soon. But yeah, Jared's had a lot of careers and stuff. Yeah. All right, so check this out. The reason I'm showing you guys this is because I do not control any of these repositories right here. And what I mean by that is anybody that owns any of that software that's getting put into this repository, probably not being updated anymore because it's mostly CentOS stuff. And maybe the EPELs are the extra packages for Enterprise Linux. But my point is I have no control over them. If there's 200 of them today that need to be updated and there's 295 tomorrow, I have no control over it. Look at all these packages. I got a lot of stuff to update. But my reason to show you guys this is, who says IT guys aren't the coolest? Yeah. When this, so just I want you to think about this. If I updated this server today and this was my dev environment, and then I had a prod environment that I was going to update in like 4 or 5 days, and I do the same yum install, but today it's at 200 packages and tomorrow or in 4 days it's at 297, did I pull down to my dev environment and test all the things that I just put into my prod environment if I'm going out to the world? The answer to that's a resounding no, right? It doesn't even make sense. I don't control those repositories. So almost universally as a systems engineer, and this goes a little bit above like when you first start out and you're just, doing commands and running through a book and what run books and playbooks and whatever exists for you as a first level administrator. But later on, you're going to be tasked with configuring these things and owning these things. And one of the things we do with configuring of software repositories is we lock in life cycles, right? So if we were doing this like in RHEL with satellite, we call them life cycles, right? And what'll happen here is we'll have like satellite sitting out there. And satellite will maybe go on like the first out to Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and they'll pull all the packages down and we will set a life cycle, right? And then we'll feed that life cycle down to like our dev environment, right? So all of our dev servers will get that. Maybe like that's the first of the month, so maybe the 3rd through the 8th we patch dev, right? But we lock this in. This is set in stone. Right? This is set in stone. We do not change this. This is now controlled by us. If there's 600 packages in there, it is set in 600 packages. This right here, we don't control. This might as well be the ocean. This can be 1,000 updates an hour. We don't know what's going to happen in that freaking repository. But what we know is we can pull it down, the satellite, right? Not Saturday, satellite. And then this life cycle is going to move forward through our different environments. Maybe we got dev, and then we got test, and then maybe we've got like QA, and then we've got like prod over here. Prod, not poured. Prod. And then maybe as we go through the month, all the way out through maybe like the 30th, we're patching these different environments and moving this life cycle that we control, right? We're holding on to it and we control those packages. So we've tested it here. We've done burn-in. we've done unit tests, we've done smoke tests, we've done regression tests, all this stuff, and then we move forward until we're ready to finally put it in the prod environment, right? And this is, there's a million ways that you can do that and different stuff like that. You don't even need to use satellite. There's a really good tool out there that's actually one of the component pieces of satellite called Pulp, and you can control your repositories with Pulp. But the point is, you don't just go grab shit off the internet anymore. When I talk to people and we talk about like in our little home lab area and like pulling down whatever for like the new Fedora and then pulling down whatever for my CentOS server. How many did it go to, by the way? How many did my How many did my server go to? There were 92 packages today. I'm not gonna take it, but did you guys know that it'll save your packages for you, so then I could just run that transaction later if I wanted to? Yeah, so I'm going to, talking about repositories in general. I can control what I can control, but I can't control. It's like I can't control the ocean, but I can control what I pull out of the ocean and store in this little bin here, and then I can feed that down to my environments or whatever. Turtlebeard, I've never seen that. I've never seen people build their own packages. Well, let me back up a second. In SCIFs, when I've worked on like really high security environments, we have had to bring packages in individually, bring them in through an air-gapped environment and bring them in. And then sometimes in those cases, we will have to rebuild something or repackage an RPM, sure. But for the most part, this is how a lot of organizations will do it. They will pay somebody, and that somebody specializes in building of the packages and stuff, and they bring it down. Sending grounds, you end up doing that. You end up taking stuff apart and repackaging it the way you want. We actually had a decision. And guys, this goes back to you can bake this a bunch of different ways. For me, in my environment, with the 1,200 nodes, we're doing some patching work coming up, right? And one of the things we're doing is moving. So we've got multiple layers of different hardware that's dropped over the years. It's a big Frankenstein environment. This is common in HPC. You have your own Git package builder. Nice. Sending. Yeah. You probably end up making sure that you have all the right stuff there before you move it forward. That's good. That's also like a certain. I talk about this control. It's not because we're control freaks. It's because we're responsible for the downstream uptime. And if we can't control it, there's no reason for us to work with it. Big enough to need control of our version sets dependencies. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely, you guys are for sure. So this repository thing, there was a decision made recently. Actually, it was made by me, but it's still the way it was. I could have brought down this InfiniBand driver, which is called OFED, right? The OFED driver for InfiniBand. And I could have compiled it for each of the different types of architectures I had. Once I compiled it once, I would have an RPM. And then that RPM for each of my different environments, I could have just installed the RPM and it would work. But hold on a second. In those different environments, there are different drops. So within the years that they were dropped in, they went throughout. So they have sometimes different drivers. Sometimes they have different actual NICs in the back of the cards. So I made the decision, hey, we're just going to push this package everywhere and we're going to build it on the local set. Never in all my time of doing this have I ever had OFED break when I go to build it on a kernel with the headers. Never. But if I were to try to keep it where I built everything and then pushed it out to the right nodes, the nodes are, I want to call them bespoke enough. They are unique enough. They're snowflakey, whatever you want to call them. People call servers all kinds of things. A snowflake means that it is unique, right? It's not a derogatory political term like nowadays where people say you're melting. It's the idea that every snowflake is unique, right? And that's kind of where they're going with that. And the decision was made again by me to just build everywhere. That adds a little bit of time. It adds, so there's two types of time. You can pre-bake things into images, and then you can build things in user data, as some people call it, or personalization later on the server, right? So all that to say, I'll get the Ranger check here in a second, but all that to say that we I made that decision to push this and then build it everywhere. And actually, I just saved myself, I did some work earlier, I saved myself 68 minutes off of pushing this to package to all the different machines. That's directly coming off of my Ansible playbook because I pre-staged it. And then I taught all the junior engineers, since I'm leaving the project in about a month, I challenged the junior engineers, somebody write for me the way that we will wipe my staging out. Now, some of you that do Ansible know that that's as easy as just doing an absent on a directory. Sure. But I'm giving the junior engineers a chance to look at what I did and go, I can push that button and delete it, right? And I gotta give them a chance to do, right? Because until you do it, it's not real, right? It's not real for you, kind of as like an engineer. Let's check on Ranger. He has not moved this whole stream, so I'm kind of wondering about him. I'm hoping he's okay down there. I gave him a treat right before. He definitely looks like he's smiling, but that's how Ranger always looks like when he's sleeping, you know? I also joke around about how my dog is probably the reason most people are here, right? Because Ranger's more popular than me. So there's my Ranger stuff. Ranger dog. We had a big party this weekend, and I feel like him after it. Like it was, because I'm always up and walking around and stuff, and my legs still hurt today from the workout I did that morning. What kind of treat? So when he first started having back problems last year, we were giving him little CBD treats that we found at the store, and we were like, if it makes his time better, you know, whatever. But he hasn't needed those as much. I wouldn't do CBD for myself, but for my dog, I mean, if he wants it. And then we found out that he really likes getting high, so like we had to edge him off it, and we're like, calm down, stoner. But no, he looks pretty happy, right? And it's funny, when he sleeps, his ears will pop up like that. So he's a pretty good dog. Everybody likes Ranger. All right, so I'm only still on the first page, but installing and updating software, you got to control your repositories, and then responding to incidents. You've got system level failures. You've got security incidents. There's all kinds of things that can happen in your system. And there's some truths about systems that people don't like to talk about, but it is true from an engineering standpoint. Here's something that people don't like to talk about, especially when they worry about like AI taking over everything. And I'm not going to get into an argument with anybody. I'm just going to tell you this. All the engineers in here are going to tell you the same thing as me. Every system breaks down over time. That is an empirical truth of engineering. All systems break down over time. So system level failures will occur, component level failures will occur, and we have to deal with how those failures are going to happen. There's a whole discipline, and we've talked about this discipline on stream before, and I've shown you guys resources on it. I'll pull them up again if you want. But your Nokia, I have some phones that still work, but they don't work as well, right? They system level failures though will happen, and one of the ways that we test for these is a tool, a method of thinking, it's actually a method of scientific analysis, if we're being honest, called chaos engineering, right? And we've talked about this on stream. There's some really cool certs on it. I wish they still did them for free, but there's some really good certs out there. And there's a GitHub, Dastergon, right? His name is Dastergon. And he put together this really awesome chaos engineering stuff. So I'll link this to you guys. Yeah, they used to have these really cool certs, and me and some of the guys went and got them a few years back through Gremlin Chaos Engineering. Yeah, and it's not what you guys think. It's actually a simple discipline of engineering where we experiment. We make a hypothesis and we say, well, what if this broke? And then we go test it. And we don't just test it by ripping stuff out of the back of our servers. We test it by saying, okay, here's our plan. Here's the scope and blast area of what we think's going to happen. And then we go and test it and we see, right? The better you get at this, the better you get at responding. It's almost like you're injecting faults. In fact, AWS calls this their fault injection simulator. It's their FIS service. So AWS has a service for this. I think Azure does. I haven't played in the Azure space with that, but I know that AWS does. It's called the fault injection simulator, FIS. But here's all this. There's books on it. There's information on it. You've probably heard of Chaos Monkey. They talk about Chaos Monkeys and all the different things and all the stuff. Look at all this. Free books out there on it. Site reliability engineering. Google has some really good books. If you don't know, right here, these books are free from Google. So I'll link this to you guys here. Super Hacker, you might have to link that on our Discord because the links don't come through. But this one, I showed you guys this a few days ago too, as well. Let me get this out of the way. Fucking Ranger. He's like dreaming of something funny. But he used to, when he was younger, he would lay on his side like that and like run in his sleep. So it would look like he was running on all four. It was really funny. I haven't seen him do it in a long time, but he's kind of laying that way. All right. Anyways, security incidents. Security incidents happen all the time. I've been on stream here for 37 minutes. Watch this real quick. I've shown you guys this before, but real quick, let's go here. And this is, let's see, 37 minutes would be right, actually right about here. Those are all the times in the last 37 minutes. It's about 43 minutes. But that's all the time that people have tried to get into my systems. Hey, Cruz, how's it going? Thanks for the follow. We're just working on system stuff, monitoring them, look at all these people trying to get in. And they're trying to get in with admin and user 2 and Ubuntu and Ibrahim and CXX and common names that might be there, right? If what's going on here? Hold on, I'm missing some stuff. If everyone is responsible, no one is. So which department is usually keeping up which state of federal laws, i.e. who does breach notifications? Who would keep up with laws, or lawyers tell the IT security? So, AirRug, there's almost always, for any IT department, a team that's called the GRC team. They're the security team that does governance, risk, and compliance, and they're the ones that do all the things that you just described. They're the ones that run around and do all that stuff. That's a security team. It's almost always falls under the the CISO, the Chief Information Security Officer. Cruz, I don't necessarily, strictly speaking, teach you about coding, but I teach about systems engineering and stuff. So then there's that kind of stuff. I have not played with Wazoo app for Seam. No. The Seam. Systems engineering is all the stuff underneath. So, somebody wants to tell me that they're going to build an application and they're going to take that application and they're going to go put it on some server somewhere. I tend to be the guy that builds the server. Yeah, systems engineering is, I build the servers. I like to think of them as like I build them bigger, faster, and stronger so that people can come along and code and do stuff on top of it. But anymore nowadays, the idea of systems engineering and just being a Linux engineer like I used to be, it's kind of getting melded into this thing that people call DevOps, but I don't call myself a DevOps engineer. I'm a platform and a systems engineer. I build the systems. I make sure that the systems are exactly the same all the time, and that's what I'm pretty good at doing. By the way, look, since I've been talking here about it, somebody just tried to get in as operator on my system. So this actually refreshes every 10 seconds, and it shows the last 6 hours. That's the last 6 hours of people trying to get into my system here. If you want to know how many total, we actually have, hold on. Here's all the people that have gotten themselves locked out forever. We're up to about 39K have locked themselves out. And then this is so many in the last little bit here. Locked themselves out forever. All right. Anyways, this section focused on the types of tasks that systems administrator will find themselves doing within a group of systems. So that's that. But yeah, Cruz, the goal of this is to get you guys. So the goal of all this, by the way, is to get you guys into our Discord. Discord is where we hang out and talk shop with other engineers, talk about security, all that kind of stuff. Security, cloud, Linux is the overarching concept of everything. Street Track said, looking to get in the cloud security, so you think FCS rather than RHCSA. Want to get Linux fundamentals before diving into Ansible, Terraform, and Kubernetes. Street Track, I would say LFCS is fine. I would also say just getting your hands on systems and doing projects would also be really good. You gotta think of this like, I've got to fill up a resume, right? I've got to fill up a resume with something, whatever. Like if we're talking about getting into the systems world, hold on real quick. Let me pull up my generic het resume. That's my generic het resume here, right? And my resume is I normally view things in dark mode, but this is my het resume with my name. I don't care if you guys know who I am, but all the other information is kind of blocked out except for killer coda stuff. But if you're going to make a one-page resume, which a lot of us try to stay to one page, you can go further. Actually, so as an engineer, when you're like at the beginning of your career, you're probably going to have a one-page resume. At the end of your career, you're probably going to go back to your one-page resume. And I'm probably near the end of my career, if we're being honest, right? I've been doing this for a long time. And but whatever you're going to put in there, if it's projects, lead with your projects. If it's your experience, lead with whatever's the highest kind of thing I think that you can put on there. I have my certs that are current. I have my older certifications down here, ones that are no longer relevant. But this is, and then I have this is all kind of structured down to, it's very generic about the different colleges that I've worked at and different stuff like this. I think the only thing I left on here was Best Western because they let me go during COVID because I was a contractor. They let all 680 of their contractors go, and I just happened to be one of them, even though I was their Ansible architect and I was building out all their stuff. Never got around to setting up reverse proxy so you can get internal host names. Turtlebeard, do you know who does that? You want to talk to Inspector. If Inspector Diameter's around, he can show you how to set up a reverse proxy. They're pretty useful for bypassing security and doing that kind of stuff, keeping persistent open connections and stuff. There's some good stuff there for that. Your blacklist? Yeah, I blacklist IPs, Doc. Yeah, I use a tool called Fail to Ban, which is pretty common in the Linux space. So I got a question on the YouTube side, which was, I'm blacklisting IPs. Yes, I do blacklist. If somebody fails out, I want to say it's 5 times, they get locked out of my system forever. So yeah, if you guys have never seen kind of all of our little stuff going on in the home lab, we got Ranger Cam. He's on an older version of Grafana. We've got the servers that I care about and their statuses in ways that I care about them, right? We've got security, so I can see that my internet is up or that I'm having problems getting out to certain hosts that I care about hitting. This is mainly because Cox internet is terrible. And then all the people that have gotten themselves locked out. These are not locked out, actually. These are just people that are failing to get into my server all the time. And then these are servers that have locked themselves out over. And in the last 90 days, it's been pretty gradual. It's went from 34 to 38K, so almost 39K. So almost 5K in 90 days. So it's not as bad as it was before. We were over 120,000 at one point, and I wiped them all so that people could get in again. 7 months, got Linux Plus back in February, so happy to have found this channel. Well, nice. Yeah, LilyPad, this is what we do. We do Linux here. Here's my logs. Look, more people trying to get in. My favorite ones, though, are when root tries to get in because, guys, root should not be able to log into your servers directly as a general rule, right? Especially servers that are acting as your bastion host like this one does. And the reason, and as a jump box, the reason is because root can never be locked in a modern Linux system. We can't lock root. And since root doesn't lock, somebody could, even with timeouts and stuff, try forever to get into your system. So what we do instead is we just don't let root log in at all. You have to come in as a normal user and then sudo up to root. And by doing that, you have all the controls of a normal user, but then that. LilyPad, this is Grafana. Yeah, this is Grafana. I have a bunch of labs that show you guys how to do this, too. So if anybody's ever playing around and like, hey, I want to get into the labs and do whatever. Looks like somebody got in there and was doing something in there. These keep track of all the people down in the, well, if you're in the dungeons, this is it. It doesn't track you if you're in the labs. So we have a bunch of lab servers I've shown you guys before. If you get down in our Discord, you can get in our lab servers. If you just want free labs out on the web, here's Killer Coda. And I'll link you guys to, if you look right here, all this monitoring stuff. This is all the Grafana labs. We did them this weekend, so I can't do them right now again because, one, that would melt my brain, and two, there's that. So I'm going to link those to people that want to go do them. Killer Coda is completely free, guys. They don't charge you nothing. I've been using them for like 3 years. They've never charged me anything. And I build labs out there. I've built like 57 labs, and they all work pretty well, so pretty happy with them for... Like, the reason I tell you guys about labs like this is if I said, hey, right now, let's go do conditional and counting loops, I can click on this, send you guys a link, and anybody that wanted to do it with me could do it in the exact same environment. And I've told you guys this before, as a college professor, I know that if I tell students we're going to install Linux today, that's what we're going to be doing for the next 4 hours, is getting everybody installed on Linux, because it's not going to happen fast. There's going to be problems. Same thing I tell you guys with one of the reasons I don't drop you in VI in any of my labs. Is because if I get 30 people in VI, that's what I'm going to be doing for the next hour, is showing them how to get out of VI individually, because people that have never been in VI, they're not going to be able to do it. So, and that's not me being mean, it's just true. Your senior sysadmin did not tell you about this. Yeah, this is one of the best things on the web right here. I'm not even just talking my labs, I'm talking labs in general. This is one of the best things that I could think that you could go spend time on. Just getting hands on systems and then hitting the button and wiping them. So, but props you learning Linux at such. yeah. I hope. And one of the things too, could I tell you guys? I was telling you guys about when I used to work on a NOAA project, and I might be going back to that NOAA project again. When I was over there, I was 39 when I worked there, and I was the youngest guy on my team. If you took the average by over 15 years. All those guys were like in their 50s. And the only reason I bring that up is to say Linux systems engineering grew out of Unix systems engineering, grew out of it's gonna be around. And I know I've been hearing it my whole career. Oh, you're gonna get replaced by AI soon. All right. I mean, as long as it can do the troubleshooting, I guess. Yeah. In LilyPad, I bet they do just fine. Because I'm in my 40s and I do just fine in the systems world. What would you say about kernel developer on Linux? Is it a skills I think an SRE and platform engineer should have? SynBleed, you can get as much into any one component as you want, I guess. A lot of the things in my career haven't caused me to dig into the kernel as much, right? I don't do a lot of compiling the kernel. In fact, somebody just asked the other day in our Discord, maybe even earlier today, about getting in and compiling kernels and stuff. I mean, there's people that do it. I've compiled kernels for fun, but I have not done them in a professional settings ever. It's just never been something I need to do, right? So this is one of these things, you do what, and this is, by the way, this is another one of these things. We do all these things as hobbyists for fun, but then we also do things professionally to make money. And I try to tell you guys, the goal of our group is to get you from being hobbyists to doing this stuff professionally. And as that point, and I make this point often, and if Sending Ground is still around, he'll agree with me on this. We don't always get to do the coolest stuff. Sometimes we're just doing whatever the business needs, but it's still money, right? Like, yeah, I like money, right? Like the same thing. The same thing as this right here, right? I can answer that. For money. I think platform engineers are SRE plus sysadmins plus DevOps plus SDE plus system. Well, yeah, maybe SynBleed. Yeah, maybe. I mean, there's a lot of names for a lot of different stuff. All right. So, anyways, those are labs. Where were we at? We were talking about security incidents and system level failures. We have to have security incidents. Don't just resolve themselves. You need to have a plan to resolve them. I have a whole talk on that we've done, and how you can practice security incidents. My two places that I tell people to go around security incidents is, well, actually, there's one place strictly about the incident itself, and that's sans.org, and it's their list of cheat sheets. And if you just say, Scott, I don't have a set of policies, I don't know what I'm going to do when the server, when the problems hit the fan. Here's a security incident cheat sheet for server administrators. Right here, I'll link it to you guys. This is on sans.org. This is free for you guys to use. It is true. It is better than digging trenches. I was a roofer before, and I was a combat infantryman, and I will tell you that I will take this over that any day, over either of those. Because I was a roofer in Phoenix, by the way. So go think about that. But anyways, my point in this is like, what do we examine in a Unix system? And now, this is not prescriptive, but you could take this and turn this into a set of steps of everything that we do. Do we know what's in our log event directories? You may take this and go, you know what? No, we log everything off in real time, and it goes back to our SIEM, and it goes to Splunk, and we have a really good way to look for incidents inside of Splunk. I've got that covered, and I say, okay, well, good. Make sure that that's the first task, though. Have somebody go start digging into Splunk, right? Then list of security events, who's logged in, has the server rebooted, this kind of stuff. Examine the network. What's the system seeing as ARP, local, this is your MAC to your IP address mapping. What's going on there? Are you seeing weird things? Is stuff that's not normally in your network showing up there? Because you guys know that ARP, anytime you see a MAC address never leaves the network. The internal MAC address, like a MAC address, never leaves the next hop, ever. It doesn't. That's not how the data link layer doesn't leave the next hop ever. That's just not how it works, right? So my point in saying that is you can have some weird stuff in there, some weird just kind of things showing up. List of networks and things that your system's listening to. This is huge. Is somebody running something on your server that shouldn't be there? All those buzzwords, DevOps, SRE, are at the end of the same old good systems engineering, but doing, yeah. Super Hacka, I tend to agree with that. Like, I get pulled into stuff all the time with all these new buzzword, people, and they're doing all these buzzword things, and that's cool. But at the end of the day, they still come to me and ask me to do things for them on the system or show them how to do things on the system. And it's like, yeah. LilyPad, if I were to talk about Agile right now, let me explain Agile to you. I think Agile's great if this. Hold on. This is what a conditional if, right? It's an IIF, right? If and only if. Or is it IF? I forget. I haven't looked at that in a long time. Hold on real quick. Somebody fix that for me because I know one of you guys knows that. I'm looking for something. Scaled Agile, Safe Agile. Oh, God, there's so many of them. Let me pull something up real quick just because I was going to show this earlier, and I was like, I'm not going to go too much into it. We'll go soft engineering skills real quick. And I don't care. I've told you guys, I don't care if you know who I am. Like, I'm a real person. So, I'm going to move this real quick. Get this out of the way. Get that out of the way. This is for you guys that want the security incident stuff. But, hold on. I'm going to show you guys something real quick. Did you guys know that there are 4 premises, there are 4 points that form the basis of all Agile programs? If you tell me a project is Agile, or you tell me it's safe, or you tell me it's whatever with Agile on it, excuse me, I'm gonna look for these 4 things. And then some of you guys that have been in Discord for a while remember when I made that little meme, that's not very cash money of you dinosaur, but he says that's not very agile of you. I think these are wonderful. I think these are great right here. However, almost universally, this is not what's happening when people say they're doing agile. It's almost never this. Like they'll be like, hey, you guys need to be doing agile stuff. And I'm like, all right, well then me and this software engineer, we're going to team up real quick and we're just going to work on some stuff and get you guys a demo by the end of the day. And they're like, no, we need to go back to the project. We need to go look at contract, like what, and I'm like, well, that's not agile then. And I'm not even talking like with different customers and stuff. I'm talking within my teams, like me and like some VMware guy on the team, and we're trying to work something up. And then I've worked on agile teams where I reported one day, hey, it was this guy, Brian. Me and Brian finished this thing. We're ready to go. And they're like, all right, we're not ready for your piece yet. Well, all right, fine, we're done. And then we sat there for like 4 months while they just talked about shit. And then they were like, hey, are you guys ready with that? And we're like, we've been ready for like 4 months. And they're like, all right, deploy it. We're like, all right, we deployed it. And they're like, good job. And we're like, that was the opposite of agile. That was more the old army hurry up and wait thing there. That's what that was. I don't even remember what we did. He and I were doing something. It was my playbooks and it was his VRO, vRealize Orchestrator, which I learned JavaScript for vRealize Orchestrator. Again, I still don't tell you guys I'm a coder. I can code myself out of a wet paper bag, but I don't build software edifices, right? I just can do shit. So that's what I do, right? Engineering. So, all right. We're not on this meeting, or we're not on this talk, but that'll be another day. This is what we're talking about. So let's go down. So what do administrators do? Now, administrators are, before we get into engineering most of the time, if we look at the software cycle, like the things that we do as engineers, let me pull this up real quick. There's these things that we kind of do as engineers. And let me pull up my Excalidraw. If you guys haven't seen Excalidraw lately, that's one of my college things I was doing. Let's see. Let's pull up. What was it? It was Linux Systems Administration, I think. Let's see. I think it was this one. It was this. Yeah, it was this right here. And if any of you want this, because sometimes people ask me, hey, Scott, can I get a copy of that? I can actually share this, right? And I can turn this into a copyable link for you guys. And for you guys on the Twitch side, it doesn't go through correctly, so you got to grab the whole thing and drop it in there. On the YouTube side, you should be able to just click on the YouTube side. It works. So if any of you want to go in here, by the way, you'll be in the same project as me. You could just start drawing on it. You can do whatever you want. But most importantly, before you go messing any of it up, because I don't care. You can mess it up all you want because I have my copy of it. But, what I was going to tell you guys is that you can, you draw whatever you want on it. But you can also keep your own copy of it. You hit here, save or save to, and it'll go. But where I was going with that is most sysadmins start over here. They're on either the operate or the optimize side of things. If we do a PPDIOO, which is prepare, plan, design, implement, operate, and optimize. This comes from a Cisco model of how networks are deployed, but it's really true for systems as well. But yeah, see, there we go. You do, in the operations, you're a keep the lights on type of guy. You're working in the NOC, network operations, you're in the SOC, which is security, Velvety Ducks here. Help desk, can we do things better? And I tell you guys all the time, if you want to get over to doing projects and planning and designing and implementing, what are you doing over here that's making people think that you can do these other things? I get people tell me all the time, they're like, oh, I'm just stuck in this thing. And I'm like, I get it, man. Look, when I got out of the Army, I had a CCNA. I didn't know anything about servers or anything. But I got out and I started working at a school district just moving computers around. But moving computers around was still the title of LAN tech, local area network technician, right? Yeah, Lilypad, I was an Army infantryman. So I have a pretty high score on my ASVAB, but I'm colorblind. And they were like, well, you could go be a paperwork guy. And I was like, wait, can I get a waiver and go in the infantry like my older brother did? And they're like, yep. So that's what I did. By the way, you guys can mess this up all you want. I don't care. Because I'm not going to, I can just fix that. So, but if anybody needs that, they can grab that and copy it out. Okay. Moving computers around was real. Yeah, in Phoenix Summers, it sure was. You guys might think like, oh, that's not that bad. You just went in and saw the teachers. No, I had to get old computers out of rooms and move new ones in, and it was hard work, man. Somebody asked about pen testing. Hold on, let me see what I saw there. Yeah. Sending grounds. That's exactly true. I learned this early on, and like, for how bad my dad was about a lot of things, he was actually pretty good about some things. And one of the things he used to tell me is, you go in and you say good morning to somebody, and they're like, what's so good about it? Well, you're not going to say good morning to them anymore. And there's people, and my buddy Jared, if he's still on the YouTube side, Jared used to talk about people that got a problem for every solution, and you're like, man, I don't need. By the way, you might say, well, that's real annoying over on the construction, like, because my dad was a construction worker, and that kind of stuff, and that's true. But think about it: you're a systems engineer. You're an engineer. Engineers are there to fix problems. If you've always got problems, that doesn't bode well for your skills as an engineer. All right. Anyways, I'll get off of that. But I was just looking what Sending Ground said. But somebody asked about. Hold on. What do I think about the market for pen testers? Lilypad, I have a skewed view of security in general. So my skewed view of security is that I think everybody wants to get into security, but nobody wants to learn the basics. And you say, well, what do you mean by that? And I'll say, well, because I've been teaching systems engineering and networking and security at the college level for 15 years, and everybody just wants to be elite hacksaw with their hood up, and it's like, man, we do elite hacksaw. I said elite hacksaw. LEETHAXXOR. I love when that stupid thing spells shit for me. So, everybody wants to be elite hacksaw. But my point is, like, but just learn the basics, right? Like, get a solid foundation and things. And I tell you guys all the time, if you don't know if you're red or blue in an organization, if you tell me right now, hey, Scott, I'm in IT. Well, if you're not on the red team, you're playing defense, so you're blue. And nobody ever thinks about, Doc's right. Doc said nobody wants to look at the logs. That's true, man. Parsing logs is its own little skill. And I actually got asked this by one of the junior engineers the other day. They're like, hey, can you just write up like your process for like looking at logs? And I was like, oh my God. I would look like, you know what I would look like if I did that? I would look like this. Hold on. This is what I would look like if I tried to explain to people what I was doing. That would be me right there. Just like I go where the log tells me to go. Like, yeah, I'm just grepping as fast as I can until something looks like a pattern that matches. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, connect the dots. Yeah. It's mostly like this pretty much all the time for me. Pretty much all the time. I tell you guys all the time, if you saw me as a systems engineer for a day, you'd be like, this guy's a madman and he doesn't know what he's doing. But things get done, and that's because it's planning on one side, a bunch of hacking until we get the thing the way we want it, and then it's documenting an output on the far side. So it's planning, hacking, documenting is my little engineering diagram, right? That's how I have that in other talks and stuff. But anyways, for administrators, what do? We observe systems. We at a command line, strictly speaking, there's only two things you do. Did you guys know this? I tell my college students this sometimes, and I think people don't believe me. But I think it's almost like one of those bell curves where in the middle are all the chads, and then over here are like the guys that don't know anything, and then over here are like the brilliant, enlightened dudes. Have you guys ever seen that like meme template? And at the end of it, when you've been doing this for long enough, everything just turns into two things. And I'm 100% serious about this. I'm not making this up. At the command line, there's two things that you do. You either set values or you check values. That's it. Only two things. I tell my Cisco students that all the time. Do you know in a Cisco command line, you only set values and check values? Those are the only two things you do. In fact, sometimes that system tells you values without you even asking. You leave from global configuration, or you leave from privilege exec mode and go down to a lower mode, and then it just dumps a bunch of debug shit on you while you're trying to type something else, and you're like, that's all it is. Yeah. Getters and setters. Yeah. I that's a fair way to put it. Yeah. You're either setting things in or you're pulling things out as values, checking values and setting values. That's all you do. So I was going to give an example, and then I realized that it's still true though. But anyways, we observe system. These are typically green. They're pretty safe. Depending on the resource overhead, you can observe things almost as much as you want. Get you a soul setter. Then we can benchmark. Benchmark adds load to the system. So we need to be careful when we do benchmarking tests, and we need to understand the state of our servers. Are we working on systems that are protected by some load balancing, by, whatever we're doing, we need to understand the implications, right? The the implications. Me and the wife are always joking around about the implications. That's another Always Sunny in Philadelphia joke, by the way. But benchmarking gets its own section later, so I'll talk about benchmarking. And then we can tune things. We can tune things up and down. We can set sysctl type settings. We can change the way that IPv4 works and interacts with the kernel. You can do all kinds of stuff. But you need to make sure that you understand what's going on. And sometimes you do things and it doesn't show up now, but under load, as the system inflates with more and more usage, then you start to have problems. Okay? So that's administrative tasks, right? And some of these, you'll see these slides in other slide decks that I have when I talk to some of this stuff. But then there's the use method, and I really like the use method. I got told this years ago by a Red Hat guy who came in to give us a performance tuning and like a performance engineering talk. And I really liked this method, the utilization, saturation, and errors. It's the use method. For every resource, you just look at the use method. We just had a thing on the Twitch side, big chat block from our Nightbot that tells you guys what we do around here. I need to get that set up to drop over on the YouTube side as well, just so people know, like, this is what we're doing. We're a bunch of engineers. This stuff's all free. Hang out. Only thing that costs anything is the little Lean Pub book if anybody wants the book, but you don't need the book to hang out, right? Here's how utilization, saturation, error works. There's kind of a little chart here. Utilization is always between 0 and 100 percentage. So you've got this bar here. How much of a resource am I utilizing? It's always 0 to 100. If I put a line right here, 50%. 50% of the RAM is utilized. 50% of the capability of the CPUs are utilized. I think you could set up Nightbot on YouTube too. Yeah, that's probably true, Robodom. I need to link it somehow and do all that stuff. But that's your utilization right there. So boom, utilization. Saturation is when you get to 100% and a queue starts to form. Q-U-E-U-E. Right? And then the queue starts to form out like this. And a queue for us Americans is wait in line. We have to wait in line to get to the resource because the resource is being used at 100%. And if the resource is being used at 100%, then now we have to have a queue. We have to form a line. But what happens to things that are waiting in line? They start to time out. Whoops. And then timeouts throw errors. And errors should show up in logs. So those are the ways that we look at a system. The utilization of the system, it's always 0 to 100%. There's an old Simpsons episode. I don't expect anybody to remember this. I think it was from the 80s, where they hypnotize everybody to be better baseball players, and they say so they hypnotize them and they say give 110%. And they all respond, and they're all like repeating what he says, and they say, give 100%, and they say, it's impossible. They all in unison say, it's impossible. Possible to give 110%. That's what they all say in unison. It's kind of funny. Yeah, but queues are pretty common on indexers. Yeah. So queues, look, and we use queues for all kinds of things, and we use caching, which is not quite a queue, but it's similar. In Elk Stack to be more precise. Okay, I haven't used Elk much. I've used Elasticsearch off of Elasticsearch and Kibana, but off of Kafka. So Kafka was getting. Actually, no, I don't know what was pulling the data off of Kafka. Either Elasticsearch was doing it itself, or something was doing it and dropping it over there, and then we were using Kibana to visualize it. But I haven't used Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana myself like that. Kafka and MQs are used for a ton of things, but only one of many types of queues. Yeah, and then there's SQS inside of AWS, and then Azure has its just called Queue Service. I forget what that's called. Queues? Azure Queues? That's not even a word. Did you guys see that word that just fixed a queue service? It wasn't even a word. Anyways, so that's how we use the use method, right? That's the use method. Observation, right? So we have tools. We can look at the system. We can look at uptime, see how long a system's been up. We can see its load average on the 1, the 5, and the 15-minute timer. We can see how utilized the processes are against the number of CPUs there are. Lilypad, you want to know about the text-to-speech? Does anybody want to tell him? I don't know if you're him or her, Lilypad. So, but does anybody want to tell him? Got a little bug in here. It's that time in Phoenix again where it's now warm enough for it to warrant stupid little bugs everywhere again. Microsoft PowerPoint, guys. That's what I use. Microsoft PowerPoint. Yeah, you just open it up and you turn on CC. Right there. That's it. But you know what's funny about that? The funniest thing about this in all the world is that it needs to be connected to the internet. So that's going up to their cloud service. Yeah, that's definitely going up to their cloud service and probably being recorded. But since I'm being recorded on Twitch and YouTube, I guess I really don't care that much, right? But yeah, and the reason I know that is because I've had network connectivity problems, and you'll get errors and it'll stop. Yeah, it'll stop doing whatever. But yeah, this is just PowerPoint. You turn it on PowerPoint. Pretty cool little tool. We're a group of professional Linux users and engineers who want to train up users to do systems. Yeah, absolutely, Suresh. Yep. I appreciate you guys that put things on both of the streams for me. I know Robodom does that a lot and all that other stuff as well. Yeah. Yeah. But can I tell you guys the one trick though about this? First off, I've got 3 monitors here for this system, so I run a few monitors because I'm a nerd. But that being said, there's a thing. If any of you have ever went in the last probably 10 years to PowerPoint and opened it in presentation mode, what happens to your other screen? It goes to that BS background type thing that pops up. Did you know you guys could just minimize that? So I don't look at the one that shows what's coming up, but it's that this thing works pretty well. It won't say bad words, which I don't try to swear too much anyways, but it also won't say things that are like bad adjacent, like porn. Porn in and of itself. What if I was just sitting here having a doctorate level discussion with you guys on the implications of porn in the whatever? It's not going to say it. And another one that's so that in and of itself isn't a bad thing. And then another one it won't say is if I said damn, it'll say damn. And if I say God, it'll say God. Even capitalized it. But if I say goddamn, it won't do it. So I wonder if I can. Yeah, my freedom of speech. I wonder if there's a. I don't know. There may be a way for me to filter that and be like, I want my swearing and I want it now. Yeah. I want my swearing. I want it now. But I try not to swear too much. But the wife's at a concert, so she won't hear me, and I'll be like, bitch. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't say. That's from an old Key and Peele skit. Actually, fun fact, I'm pretty sure that's on their first ever episode of that show. That skit. Yeah, Robodom, I got to pay the premium for swearing. That's true. All right, so uptime, surprisingly, is one of my favorite things to check. I think I've told you guys about this. You know what? Actually, I have a thing to update in my home lab environment, so I may do that tonight on stream, and if I do, I'll show you guys some stuff with uptime that I do with monitoring. But actually, I need to update that anyways. Maybe I should do that now. You know what I used to do? So I'm gonna do something that I used to do. War plays? No, I'm just using it. I was messing around with it a little bit right now, but no, I mean it's just there. We're actually talking through some stuff. Let me pull something up here real quick in the home lab. I've got to fix something that's been bugging me about my reporting. So, test CC limitation every day. That's true. So I'm gonna give you guys an option here. While you're deciding. Unfortunately, I don't have a way for the YouTube to participate in this. Only only Twitch will be able to vote. I'm going to put together a little poll here. And the poll is going to be, what do we do next? Continue on Linux, right? So continue the Linux chat, or Warplays. Question: how do people have so many bots on their channels? Is that something Twitch can't control? Warplays. This is we call it a cat and mouse game. When I used to do red teaming, and also being a guy who's always been on the blue side of things when I wasn't red, it's a cat and mouse game, right? Like we put in whatever we can to stop whatever, and people escalate. It's like an escalation of power. So there's probably something. Twitch probably has all kinds of things in place, and people have found new ways to register new problems for the Twitch staff. That's probably what they've done. They are probably real looking to whatever defenses are in place, and then as they figure them out, they will figure out new ways to quash them. If that's what's happening. I heard somebody, because I've been on Twitch all day watching people stream and stuff while I was working, and I heard a lot of people mentioning bots everywhere and people paying for bots and stuff, and I'm like, I didn't see any in the channels I was in, but I was mostly down like watching people play video games and stuff. So I'm typically watching one of two games throughout the day when I'm working. Either Mechabellum, which is, I love Mechabellum. I've been playing it too. And also Dead by Daylight. Those are my two. And I've never played a single round of Dead by Daylight, but I'd be willing to bet you that I've watched more than 6,000 hours of that game. Just kind of like in the background, like while I'm doing other stuff, just watching people get hung up on meat hooks. It's a pretty gnarly game, but it's kind of fun. So yeah, Sending Grounds is back. By the way, guys, if you don't follow Sending Grounds, you should. He shows a lot of like real deep systems administration stuff, which I like. He shows how to do things right, which is also super important. And he does this stuff professionally in a way that is very functionally sound, right? Like he doesn't just like me, I work in environments where like we just got to get all the pieces together. So I just run around and like tamp down fires all the time and get shit working. His stuff is like clean and crisp looking most of the time. Although he would tell you the same thing I would. There's a lot of running around up until it all comes together, where if you guys saw us, you'd probably think that we were madmen. But, that's a fair assessment, I think. All right, we can continue on Linux, or I can fix something in the lab. So these are your two options. I'm going to give you guys 10 minutes for this vote, and I'll allow additional votes on the Twitch side. So I'm going to give you guys 10 minutes on the Twitch side, and it says, what do we do next? We're either going to do, you guys can vote on either continue on Linux stuff like we're doing, or I can fix something in the lab that I need to fix. I'm going to fix it tonight anyways, whether I'm doing it on stream or whatever, but you guys can vote and do that kind of stuff. All right, so you guys are going to watch. I'm going to turn this on, so you guys can loop through everything. Let's make sure there's nothing crazy going on over here. Let's see. Doesn't look like there's anything too crazy going on in here. All right. I'm going to get rid of that anyways, though. You guys can keep playing in there. Cancel. I'll leave this rotating so you guys can look at the lab and stuff. But I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll pull up my little hourglass for you guys to say 8 minutes. This was for my college. I pull this up for my college students too. But I'm going to pull this up right here. 8 minutes. I'm going to take a quick break. And vote on Twitch side. Vote on the Twitch side of things if you want. On the YouTube side, you guys are just going to go whatever. Put up time in the message of the day. Nice. People being good on Excalibur. Yeah, Robodon, I think they were being fine. All right, I'm going to go take a break real quick. I'll be right back. Grab me some more water to drink, too. By the way, Robodom's in charge till I get back. Oh, sending. You were asking about the tablet I use? Give me a second here. I'm still on my break, though, guys. But I'm going to show him. And how are you guys voting? I haven't looked at voting lately. So, let's see. This is the tablet when I got it. Working good so far. So it's a Wacom tablet. It's not a very big. Hold on. This is up in the what channel am I in? Home Lab chat. This is old. You guys might notice I have the microphone in front of me now because people didn't like my sound quality. So now instead of the microphone sitting over there, it sits directly in front of me when I talk, right, like this, so you guys can see. But yeah, it's when I got it, I think I posted. This is what it was. This was $40. I don't even think this was $40. It's a little Wacos. And sending, when you set it up, I can't pull it up because I have it like wrapped up. So like I don't have any play in the cable because I have it all kind of nicely cabled. Yeah, you can see it right there, how I kind of like kept the cable together. But I can tell you this one thing about it. When you set it, you can let it be on all the screens, or you can just do it to one screen, and the screen you guys are looking at is the only screen this thing works on. I couldn't use this to drag the mouse to either of my other my other two screens, you know? It wouldn't work. Because I chose to have it down here because I was trying to drag my hand everywhere, and I was like, oh, hell no, I ain't doing this. But also, right when I bought this, I bought this little mouse here, this little rollerball mouse. And I still use normal mouse on my other machine, but I really do like this rollerball mouse. But yeah, this little Wacom tablet, it was like I think it was $32 on Amazon actually. So I did not buy some $100 and something Wacom, and I can draw just fine with this stupid thing. Also, you guys see me drawing in PowerPoint, which is the same thing that's doing this. There's another tool that I have, which is one of my favorite tools, and I don't use it much. It is called Epic Pen. If you've never seen Epic Pen, it's this cool little guy that pops up. Where's he at? Hold on. He always pops up in weird places on my screen, but he looks just like this. And he always asks you to buy him, which one of these days I should probably buy him. But what you get when you buy him is you get these other things. But I can pick a color. So let's say I do blue. And then while he's open, while his eye is open, I can draw all over the screen here. Right? And then when I'm ready, I can just go here and close that up and then do whatever I want with the page. So I don't use this a lot sending, but I probably should use it more because it's really cool. You just go like this, and then I think you can even grab that stuff off and yeah, you can like take screenshots and throw it places and get it out of the way. I think I can even go to like a whiteboard, or I could just clear the screen. So yeah, and this is a free tool, but I think you could pay them like $20. I probably should just pay them the $20 one day because, you know, their stuff's pretty good. Zoom it's good? Okay. The limitation of my Microsoft stuff, or if I'm gonna, whoops, hold on, let me get rid of this. The limit of my Microsoft stuff is this. I have to be on, so I got to get all this out of the way, And then I can draw on this if I want to. Sys internal. Nice. Yeah, Starfucks, I don't know much about that zoom it. Let me see. I don't know as much about all the things. Zoom it, sys internals. Oh, you know what? Is this the one? Hold on. Get rid of this stuff. Did you guys know there's a tool? I had forgotten about this tool. It's different than the one that you showed here, but Zoom It looks pretty cool. One. But did you guys know there's a tool inside of just Microsoft that you can go and do a bunch of commands and stuff, and it'll just record all the commands as you did them, and it'll play back the whole thing. It'll just record like your whole screen as it kind of goes. I haven't played with the thing. Let's see where I'm at. You guys want to fix something in the lab? That's what it looks like people are voting for. The Wacom digital drawing tablet appears to silently exfiltrate user data, according to the investigation by software engineer Robert Heaton, and the company responded on Friday, downplaying the report. Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that Wacom was doing that. So like, if I was like just drawing like all kinds of stuff, they were just grabbing all my stuff. Yeah, that's interesting. I know you need a tool for Wacom tablet. You need to actually set, there's like a little tool here that you actually have to use to set it all up. And you can set these keys. I don't ever use those keys up there, but you can set those keys to do different things as well. And then there's options to like what screen it's going to be on and that kind of stuff. Mapping. So in my case, I map it only to the one screen. Screen area is only monitor 3 over here. You can firewall the exe. Yeah. Probably something good to do. Okay, so we got all these things. Did the people finish voting? I think there might be some time left on the... You got a few more seconds on the lab. It looks like... so the thing that won is fix something in the lab. So that's what we'll do. We'll fix something in the lab because maybe that's more interesting to you guys than this. I'm still going to leave this up in the background, though, because I want it to capture that stuff. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that's been bugging me. In my reports here, in my reports that come to the sandbox, I'm showing all the logins, even if they're just system stuff. And I don't want to show this. I don't want to show this anymore. I want just to show if anybody logged in. Like the other day, somebody logged in as streamer onto Lab 5, which is a box that you can get into. So I'm going to strip all this stuff out. So let's go look at how I can do that. So I'm on my jump box. I'm going to go into streams because this was, streams. I used to do everything in here. You know what? Hold on. I'm going to do something for you guys because I undid something earlier because I was on a smaller screen for what I was doing. If you guys use Putty, you can actually just come into an appearance on the page you're on and go back to a bigger appearance. So now I'm back on 16 instead of 14. So you guys can probably read that a little better. And in here, I had some code examples and then my Linux admin stuff. This whole page right here there's a Git repository for this, and it pushes up to a GitLab internal to my home environment that I can then push. So I can run this stuff locally as Ansible, or I can run it from my AWX, which is an older version of Tower, right? In here, though, I have a daily system check, right? And the daily system check runs against whatever systems it's going to run against, and it's going to go inherit the role daily systems check against those systems. I've showed you guys this a little bit before, but I want to give you a little prep to understand where this thing here comes from. This monstrosity here is going to be fixed right now. We're going to fix this. It says this is a Prolog lab check performed at this morning. Any Prolog user may use the system for their own lab or testing. Systems will wipe weekly or as needed. Pen testing the lab environment is fine on the weekend. During the week, it is for normal Linux administration. So you guys can get access to this lab. Systems are reachable through the thing. I'll get the cert up eventually. To get a username, just message me on Discord. There's total of 10 systems up there, and these are their names. There's the red nodes and the blue nodes. They're part of the dungeon, and they get inmates on them. So when inmates go in there. But you see how hard this is to kind of see? There was an inmate that logged in, but then there was all this root stuff. I need to clean this up. So I'm going to go clean up the command that pulls that right now. It's not a super clean command, but I am going to get rid of root and wtemp. So I'm going to go down into roles, and in roles, we're going to cd down into daily prolog lab check, and then tasks. And in here, we're going to vi main.yaml. And here is how we've pulled the system logins. The things that have logged in the last day, all the users, and then we get the first one, we sort them, we do a unique-c, and then we get our xargs and stuff like this. But after we get them here, I'm going to do something real quick to them. I'm going to grep-ve for, and we are going to get rid of root, and we're going to get rid of that's an or we're going to get rid of wtemp. Grep-ve, yep. Then we'll sort what's left. Unique-c, xarg, cut c, good. Okay. So that's the fix right there. We're going to pull those out because they were annoying me. And now you might say, Scott, why do you have to do this as a shell command? Isn't there like a quick Ansible way of doing it? There's not really. Not for this. And there may be some module out there. I could probably go look around for a module. We could even write a module that does it. But I don't think there's anything that examines wtemp. We can look at that, though. We can go look that up here in a little bit. But then we've got how it pushes out. So it writes the template every day, and then it cats it out, and it throws it to the Discord. That's all it's going to do. So now we're going to test it. How are we going to test it? Well, we're going to cron tab -L, and here is how I can run that against my environment right here. It's going to run it. It's going to use, so it's going to do an Ansible playbook. It's going to call the vault password, so I don't have to decrypt the vault with a manual process, although I could do that. It's going to call the playbook, and the extra vars are going to be survey hosts, all dungeons, and labs. Those are the two machines that I want to check in this case. That's fine. We'll just run that right here. And if that runs, which it should, we should be able to hang out right here, and Sandbox should get an alert right now and show us that that deployed. So, you know, nothing up my sleeves. No cheating here. This should come up and give us a clean version of this without root or wtemp. -ve, yeah. Yeah, that should be right. I'm whispering to myself, but it should be right. We'll do a ranger check here in a second. All right, good. Logins to the servers in the last 24 hours, none. So that's good. I want to fix that, though. That says logins. I want that to be user logins. And then I'm going to add something to this that I've been meaning to add. And I will add it above between the total unreachable and this. So let's go back to our system here. And now we're going to go mess with the template. Oh, yeah, that bullshit. So cd up into templates. If you're paying attention, I'm still down in that role. But now I've moved up and then down into templates. And in here, I'm going to VI my daily prolog check template. So here's my template. And this is going to be user logins now. So it's not going to be any system level logins, right? Now I need to fix this other part real quick. So let's do my ranger check real quick. Hold on. Somebody wants to see Ranger. Here you go. There's Ranger. It's my dog. He's downstairs. That's my Ranger check. So there you go. Ranger is doing good. He has not moved much besides his head was here, and then it was here, and now it's over here. So you might also notice he's only got one bed because the other bed's in the other room because and he can go to either bed. It's just that he likes this bed. That's his normal place. So all right, let's check a couple of things. So we've got the uptime and we've registered uptime and we looked for days in the system. So now for this to pop out here, we can, let's go take this real quick, and we'll take uptime. Time, it looks for days, and it gives us the uptime. We could just do uptime. So the reason, so this is a problem. This is actually going to break so we need to take this off. Because when I go to use it, what if a server rebooted and that grep comes back as a failure? Does anybody know what happens in Ansible? It's done. That play's done. The only way around that, the only way around that would be to say failed when false. And I don't want to do that because strictly speaking, there's no reason for uptime to ever fail. But now I've got a variable uptime that I can use. So I'm going to grab that variable and just put it in my little paste buffer so I remember it, right? And then I'm going to exit. I will right quit that, and then I will cd back up and drop down into templates. Remember I told you guys if you ever see me do work, you're going to be like, God, this guy's insane. I don't know how anything gets done. I don't either, guys. I honestly don't know either how anything gets done. But let's do a similar thing to this. Let's say y, 7y, and then let's come right here and hit P. And we're going to hit O. And we're going to change this to systems that have rebooted in the last hour. Or in the last day. All right. So how would I check if a server was not up longer than a day? So let's steal something from down here. Let's go YYP DD to get rid of that. Now, if host vars, our variable is different, we don't need to make sure that users host is defined. We need to make sure that uptime is defined. Then we need another check, and we need another endif. And this check is going to see if in standard out, if day is so if day is not in this reboot report last 24 hours is a simpler way for that header. Reboot. Oh, hold on. You're probably yeah. Yeah, because I want to know if a box is rebooted. All right. So if day is not in there, then it can give us that. By the way, I was going to fix this the other day. Let's just make this host the whole way. By the way, it has to be host on this one. But let's fix it up here too. Because why not? We'll just standardize it. I was telling you guys how I'm kind of a madman, so things come out differently. But this is just the counting variable for your loop. This one is host, host, host. This one is host, 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 and host. And then down here it's always been host, so we don't have to change it. All right. But I had put X because X is a common counting variable. Okay, reboot report last 24 hours. I'm fine with that. So let's run this. One, make sure it works. And then we'll reboot one of those machines and run it again and see what happens. Because what's it going to do? It's going to write out to our Discord a few times. Who cares, right? It's not like it's alerting everybody. It's just popping in a sandbox channel. So we come right back here. We can run this from anywhere. Because we used absolute pathing, because I pulled this out of my cron tab, it's an absolute path for everything. I can run this from anywhere. When this runs, assuming this runs right, we should have nothing unreachable, and we should have nothing in the reboot, and then these should just move down a little bit and just be all the login servers. So it's functionally just going to add a spot right here when it gets all done running. When it writes out. Oh, I thought something was falling over on me again. All right. Did we get an error? If we errored, it's probably on my fault. Oh, geez. Ansible error template, Ansible date time. Da, 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 da. If day not in STD out. Oh shoot, hold on, I got something wrong here. So I always grab this and I drop it here so I don't have to look at it ever again. There's definitely an error in for host in host if day not in STD out. I broke one of my rules there, by the way. I changed multiple things. I try to never change multiple things. So let's look at our error. Oh, there's an end of statement block broken. Something's broken here. Day is not in host for. I have something broken with something I copied. End if, and for. Those should be right. If, and end if, end if, or if. Oh, hold on. Hey guys, you gotta stop me. You guys gotta protect me from myself. The two end if are right because there's two ifs. The two end if is it. That's fine. Yeah. You guys gotta it's Python, right? And I'm no expert, but let's just watch it this time. We won't watch on the Discord side. Although if anybody wants to be in the Discord hanging out in that channel, you could see it run. It not in is the Python way. I said is not in. And Python doesn't need the is not. It just says not in. This, not in that. Right? This should work. Yeah, there we go. Now, if we go over to our Discord, if you're hanging out down there, now there's our reboot report. And then there's all of our nodes not there. So, what we can do is we can check. We could check everything by turning a box off. But let's log in as an inmate. I think I can then sudo up and reboot one of the boxes. Let's see if I can do all that. I think I can. Inmate at red 1. So now I need the password, which I think I know. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe I don't know it. Okay, I'm in. Sudo-I. So I'm not in the sudoers. Oh no! All right, well that's fine. I logged in as the user, so I can just go in now as my normal user, and then reboot. And while that's running, right? So that node's going to be down here in a second, so it's going to pop up as unreachable. So it'll be unreachable. It won't give us any other logs, and then it'll give us we won't see any other stuff about it because it'll just be unreachable. But on the next run, it'll be back up, and it will have rebooted. So there it is. So there he's unreachable, red node 01. He doesn't show up in any of this information because he's down, so we can't read it. But that's what that check is for of the is defined. That's what it's doing, right? So in a second here, he'll be back up. We'll ping red 1. By the way, you'll notice he's got two names. And you might also notice he's in a different... in a different environment. So you see some weird, the C router is responding to me because C router is the one that my systems use to bridge over into the .200 whatever network. So the 192.168.11 is my own home network, and then 192.168.200 everything. It's a /24, so it's 254 usable hosts. That's all being routed through C router. Now in a little bit, C router is going to start getting that connection back to 201 or 101, whatever red is, and it'll start to give me pings back. But it's going, actually, it's going in a hop. Yeah, it's going through that device to get to the other device. That's a router being formed out of a Linux box, basically. So we use the Linux kernel as a router on that C router box. And I built that on stream a few months back. I don't think that's on YouTube anywhere, though, but there's that. Yeah. Man, having a second and a third monitor. Second monitor is a game changer. Third monitor makes you feel like you're a king. This should pop. We could also, by the way, let's say the server didn't come back up. What do? We get console access, right? We come over here and we go look at that node. And C router, red node 1, is back up. And we can go to the console like we were actually sitting there and watch the machine come up. Yeah, Robe Dump, 6 monitors. So on my desk, I have 5 monitors, but 2 of them are for a different set of systems that are for my old contract. And then this one looks, so now it's responding. And I'm getting a response all the way from 192.168.200.101. But I assure you, in between there, if I were to trace to it, my trace route has to go to my server. That's actually my internal, back to the router, and then back over to Red 1. So that's kind of funny, right? Okay, but what's more important than that is can I rerun this? The 3 body, the 3 monitor problem. I like it. All right, let's get that out of the way. We expect no problems this time, but there should be no unreachable. There should be 1 rebooted, and there should also be 1 login to that node when he comes in here. So, total systems were 10. Unreachable systems, 1 inmate and 1 reboot. Reboot's there. And then red node showed up in the reboot report, and he's no longer unreachable. So there we go. Yeah, you guys can go look in the home lab stuff for my home lab, and you'll see all my monitors across my desk like a madman. I don't try to hide like my love of extra monitors. When I get one of these days, I'm gonna go. I have this really nice big office desk that I got from DeVry many years ago, even well before I worked for him. I want to say I bought it in 2008-ish, maybe. It was well before I started working for DeVry in 2015, but I've been teaching college for 15 years total because I taught at a college that doesn't exist anymore before that, ITT Tech. But where I was going with that is I have this really nice desk, but it doesn't function well in this type of setting. But I have, what I want to get is, have you guys seen those like Streamlabs desks, or I don't know if that's their name, but they're like no, maybe it's not Streamlab. Whatever they are, it's called like the Magnus something, and it's as big as this desk because this is a really deep. I could barely reach to the back of this desk if I want to, and I can barely get my hands to each side of this desk, and I'm just under 6 feet tall, right? So like I can get my hands to the edge of the desk. This is a big desk. But this other desk is just as big, but this desk here that I have, you can't really clamp things onto it. So if I wanted to have like monitor arms or like this thing on an arm, I couldn't do it with this desk, not easily, not without like heavy modifications. The things that this desk has that are really nice is it's very sturdy, and you guys can see pictures of it if you look in like the home lab or whatever. And the other thing, the secret labs, that's what they're called, secret lab desks. Those are real nice. The other thing about this desk that's nice is it's modular. So it's an office desk, meaning I can hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I can hit 9 screws and take this whole desk apart. And it's just a big slab of wood that's connected with all these desk drawers and stuff. But it's a pretty good little desk. I also, over there, I don't take pictures of it very often, but I think they're up on Discord somewhere. I have like a big, like sturdy, like it looks like almost like a lawyer's desk. But I don't know. It didn't give me a lot of room for monitors, so I didn't really use it too much. But this is my office, so I can do whatever I want. But I told the wife one of these days I'm going to clean this all up and spend some money and have like a nice office set up. But not this day. It will not be this day. So look, guys, that was it, right? Yeah, monitors on the wall. Yeah. So I've built a lot of systems like that over the years for Network Operations Center, right? Like Knox, I'll put the monitors up on the wall, big like 65-inch, and then we'll just rotate through. And people think like, they're like, oh man, that's really nice. How'd you do that? And I'm like, it's literally chrome with a revolver on it. And then it just like sits there and rotates. Extensible nonsense. You need to suffer moving desks like the rest of us. Yeah. This desk is like the easiest thing to move. I can get it apart in like 20 minutes and move it wherever I need to. So, yeah, I build stuff like this and just put it on the walls. Look, those are all the people since I mentioned it earlier. Those are all the attempted logins to my home lab system. Oh, you want to see LilyPad? You want to see the Secret Labs desk? It's oh, it was right there. It's this Magnus Pro desk. If you've never seen this desk, this thing is, and I want the XL one. Hold on. This is what it looks like. I don't care. I don't care for the colors. Like I don't care one way or another for the colors. But I do like that it goes up and down, so I can stand with it. I like that it's got all the modular, everything inside of it for me to do all my wall and power. That's not going to do all my power, but I mean that's going to do like half of it, so that's good. They probably have another one, so if they give me an option to get another one or just run another, because I have, man, I got a lot of power to here. So yeah, I got a lot of power to my desk. But this is the other thing I like about them. That's not going to be enough monitor for me, but that's a good start for the arms that I can do multiple arms. So yeah, I'll need a few of those. But anyways, the point is they've got really nice. I'll need some of these probably. But I priced this out before, and I told the wife, I'm like, I'm going to have to spend like $3,000 on my office one of these days. And she's like, only the best for you, hun. And I'm like, all right. But yeah, they got really nice stuff. And you can spend a lot of money with these. Yeah, I'm talking like the whole thing. I got to redo my chair too, because I bought a pretty nice chair, but it fell apart on me. So I need a newer chair again. So, all right. So where are we at? We're almost at 2 hours. I've got some college stuff I got to do. Yeah, the wife's pretty good. I've got to do some college stuff for my doctorate, so I'm working on that. I don't have any. I have some grading to do, but I'll grade tomorrow. Expect stuff to come around here soon. Oh, hey, thanks for the anonymous gift. Trump for New Zealand. If you make sure you thank your gifter if you get a chance. Well, you can't because it's anonymous. Well, there we go. But I appreciate you guys coming by. I appreciate the anybody that hangs out with me and chats on this kind of stuff. Even though I apologize, I missed most of you guys on the YouTube side of things today. I'm not as disciplined as I was trying to keep track of everything. So, yeah, LilyPad, I try to come on a few times a week, but it's typically Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, although I did miss this Monday. And then Friday, I just kind of chill after work for a little bit until the wife gets here, and then we do date nights on Fridays. Sundays are all labs. We do all labs on Sundays. Although this last Sunday, we did all labs around monitoring. So I showed you guys how to build all that. All this monitoring stuff that I have, all that stuff we built, and people that wanted to built the same type of stuff right here. By the way, this should have shown... Yeah, I was going to say, this should have shown me rebooting the node. So yeah, this is now tracking that I logged in there. Should show that I logged in there and then rebooted that node, which it does right there. Shows that I rebooted. Okay, there we go. But yeah, you guys are welcome in Discord. LilyPad, it tends to be, I try to do it a little earlier in the night, but I teach Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays. So then I hop on after teaching typically. So it's around 7 Arizona time. And I have to say Arizona time because we don't really fall in other time zones because we don't change times with other people. But just tends to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Friday is right as I get off of work, so it's earlier. And then for you guys that are around on Sunday mornings, we do like 9 a.m. my time, and then we just kind of go for like 2 or 3 hours and just do labs as much as we can. So I appreciate the follows. I missed a lot of follows tonight, but it's because I wasn't really going to hop on today. I just kind of did and try to get some stuff done. So you guys watched me fix something in the lab. Oh, by the way, once I fix something, I just go delete the thing. The only time I would leave that whole error message there was if that was going to be useful for somebody else. If that was an error that comes up often, or if that was an error that wasn't just something that I did wrong, I would have kept that and put it in my documentation. When you guys see my Notepad++ stuff, right, the madness that is this, I'm just putting raw stuff in there, and then I filter it down to my finished documentation later. Basically, nobody needs to see how I do my laundry. Nobody needs to see how Ranger gets to his bed, right? Like, nobody needs to see that stuff. They just need to see the finished product. So anyways, so if you're wondering like, oh, Scott just deleted his notes, because that error will never come up again unless I'm an idiot again, right? So that'll never come up. So, but if it had been something for documentation world, I would have kept it and filtered it down and turned it into documentation and that kind of stuff. Which, by the way, is, you know, a big part of all this. I have a whole thing on how we do documentation as well that I need to put together and show you guys. So, all right, here's what we'll do. We'll go find somebody to raid on the Twitch side because, well, we have enough people to raid. So let's go find somebody that's doing something interesting out in the world. For you guys on YouTube, it's like normal. I just have to kind of drop you off, and I apologize for that. But let's see if anybody I know is on. Sid's on. So we're going to go raid Sid. Sid's always doing fun stuff. And Sid is very, very active in raiding. So make sure you say hey. And maybe you might find your new favorite streamer. Who knows? He's got really fun stuff going on over there. And he mostly does sound and stuff. But it's really good technical stuff. So I appreciate you guys all coming by. Feel free to hang out down in Discord. If anything here was interesting, but, you know, I didn't explain it well, feel free to like clip it or tell me what time it was, like where it was in the video, and we've got a section down in Discord for you guys to ask about that. So just say like, hey, Scott, you know, let me know about this thing and tell me more about it, and I'll try to give you a good answer. Yeah, clip it and ship it. I like that, Control Byte, because if we do that, then I have more stuff to like turn into useful clips to try to get more people interested, because, you know, we're trying to get people interested in doing this stuff and being pros. So, all right, take care, everybody. Good night.